world that can be crazy, loud, overwhelming, and often painful. Our church, this group, wants you to know that we are glad that you are here, right now. This is what we've all been waiting for. Get ready, because we start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, summer's almost over. I guess it's been pretty good. Just been hanging out with my friends. Oh, we won our Little League championship. I was MVP. Don't mean to brag, but 57 home runs, only 1 strikeout. Every summer goes by faster. It's kind of depressing, but I guess I'm ready to go back. A lot of people have been giving me a hard time lately, saying I'm too big for t-ball, too big for kindergarten, pushing me to graduate. I almost did it once a few years back. I heard that first graders get to write in cursive. Sounded pretty cool. But in the end, I just couldn't do it. I have my iPhone anyway.
Johnny, what does CH say? Dog.
My kids are a little embarrassed that they're further along than I am.
Hey, girls.
But I figure when it's time to go to first grade, I'll know it. It'll be obvious. The heavens will part, a voice will thunder, "Johnny, it's time. You need to graduate kindergarten."
Johnny, it's time. You need to graduate kindergarten.
Not thundery enough.
1, 2, 3, go Bulls!
If I graduate kindergarten, then I won't be eligible for t-ball. And I'm the man out here, a slugger, a star, and the only player on the team that hasn't had an accident in his baseball pants. Out there, who knows? I'm just not feeling it, you know? I don't feel called. I don't feel called to make myself uncomfortable. I don't feel called to no more summer breaks. I don't feel called to dad's pitch. Why have somebody throw a rock-hard baseball at me when I can hit it off of a tee? You know what I'm saying? Why do something that's hard when you can do something that's easy? I mean, we're undefeated. Why mess that up? It just doesn't make sense. But I guess some people don't get it. I guess some people just aren't smart enough to figure out how to stay comfortable, how to make life easy.
Safe! He was out! What do you mean he was safe? He was out. He was
It's
out.
kind of sad. I feel sorry for them.
Hey guys, welcome to Engage Online. Thank you for tuning in. Tonight I want to share with you a message about being in turbulent times. You know, I remember quite a while back, I had the opportunity to accomplish a small goal of mine, to compete in a Spartan sprint race. You know, a Spartan sprint race is a 5K race with about 20 obstacles along the way. It's muddy and challenging, yet super fun when you do it with a group of friends. You know, and I'd been preparing a few months and was excited to start. I knew it would likely be tough, but not insurmountable. You know, as the race began, one of the first obstacles was this 20-foot high cargo net shaped like an A, and the idea was to climb up one side and roll down the other side. I was excited as I started scaling the net until about halfway up. That's when I got kicked right in the face. This was a powerful kick to the face by another racer just above me on the cargo net. It was at that moment that I realized 2 things. Number 1, kicks to the face hurt. It's not like in the movies. The second thing is, to finish this race, I was really going to have to dig deep, press onward, and endure to the end. I wish I could say that I went on to win the race, but I did not. However, I still finished the race and then iced my face. I mean, you may not have ever been kicked in the face like me, but we all know what it feels like to do hard things and push through them. In fact, we're living through a turbulent time right now. For some, the entire school year is completely altered. For others, sports and other activities may or may not even happen. All of us are experiencing huge trials. But trials reveal what is really there. In fact, trials reveal your faith. Today we're going to look at a letter in the Bible written to people who also lived during turbulent times. The recipients of this letter were persecuted and considered social outcasts because of their beliefs in Jesus. They needed encouragement to get through some very difficult days and months. I believe we also need encouragement to overcome turbulent times. We can either look at this time period as an obstacle or an opportunity. My hope is that we'll be encouraged and see that God may be giving us an opportunity for growth in the midst of turbulence. You know, Hebrews 12 verses 1 through 3, which a lot of us are very familiar with, it says, "Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinners, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart." Here's the first principle of overcoming turbulent times. Choose faithfulness over flakiness. Get that? Choose faithfulness over flakiness. I don't know about you, but sometimes I want a God who is manageable and predictable. I want a God that is easy to understand and who does what I want him to do. You know, I had to learn the hard lesson. What I think should be is not where God puts me. In fact, there are few things that can crumble our faith faster than when God does not do what we think he should do. When turbulence comes our way, we can feel confused, anxious, and distant from God. When those things happen, we can tend to flake out. But a flaky, conditional faith is short-sighted because we are really bad at interpreting what is happening. Our time frame is not long enough to see what God is really doing. The prayers we prayed on Monday may not get answered on Tuesday. So we give God an extension like, okay, God, yeah, you didn't answer me on Tuesday, but I will give him till Thursday. Then Thursday comes and you say, okay, I'm done with this faith thing. It did not work. Faith that is not tested is like a muscle never used. It will have atrophy and become useless. And that Hebrews 12:1 where it says, "Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses," just prior to these words in Hebrews 11 tells us exactly who this great clouds of witness is. The entire chapter lists out people like Noah, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Moses. It mentions women like Rahab and Sarah and details their extraordinary faith. But we see in Hebrews 11:36 through 38, it says some faced jeers and flogging and even chains and imprisonment. They were put to death by being stoning. They were sawed in two. They were killed by the sword. They were about in shepherd skins and goat skins, destitute, persecuted, and mistreated. The world was not worthy of them. They wandered in the deserts and mountains, living in caves and in holes in the ground. I mean, this long list of people and events and persecutions are the great cloud of witnesses. I mean, that surrounds you and I. This passage sets up as if they are an unseen crowd that is cheering us on to persevere through the race we are in. We need someone cheering us on because life is hard. We may have thought that Christian life is all happiness and hugs, but you may be in a really tough chapter of life right now. A lot of us are asking, will I make it through these days? Yes. A better question is, what will these days make of me? The common thread that ties all these people together is faithfulness to enduring adversity, not flakiness. You know, most people hear the word faith and think of it as a nice sentiment, but not practical. Faith sounds like a feeling or like a blind leap that they're just taking. However, that is not the biblical view of faith. True faith is confidence. It's active trust based on reasoning. Just think about the life of Jesus. Jesus did miracles in front of skeptics who couldn't explain what he was doing. Jesus publicly died, and he was crucified by these really just massacre guys. But Jesus rose from the dead and appeared to hundreds of people. Jesus invited people to investigate his claims. Jesus' disciples proclaimed these truths and were beaten, mocked, and ultimately killed and never recanted. Thousands upon thousands of super serious and committed Jews became followers of Jesus. They changed their entire culture. Their main message was that Jesus was the fulfillment of the Old Testament prophecies. Thousands upon thousands of Romans and Greeks decided to follow Jesus too. Today, billions of people follow Jesus on every continent around the world. Many do so under the pains of threats and torture and death. The whole basis of faith in Jesus is that it is not guesswork or a feeling. Faith is not sentimental, and it's not blind. It is truth that will completely change our lives, will enable us to face anything that life throws at us. We don't get to choose the time we live in, but we do get to choose what we do with the time. This great cloud of witnesses went through some turbulent times and kept their faith. We can choose faithfulness over flakiness. Here's the second key principle for overcoming turbulent times. Spend more time on character than competency. Competency is important. The ability to accomplish tasks and be successful is vital. Competency will take you a person far, but it is character that defines us. Author and pastor Carey Nieuwhof said, work twice as hard on your character as you do on your competency. In Hebrews 12:4, it says, therefore, since we are surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. To overcome adversity in turbulent times, the Bible says to throw off everything that hinders us. Much like the athletes today, athletes in the first century would literally strip away any unnecessary piece of clothing that could weigh them down or hold them back. Imagine a sprinter running a race holding a 40-pound weight over their head as while everyone else had no weight. It's good to ask, what is the weight we are carrying in life? What is hindering us from running after Jesus? What is hindering us from taking that first step? Every day we become someone. Who we become is largely based on the small daily choices we make. One thing to know, moral compromise will compromise us. When we give in to compromise, we give up a little bit of our character. And when we give up a little bit of our character, we start to rely more heavily on our competencies. But our competencies alone will severely limit us without character. Those small daily choices are the difference between a life of compromise and a life of character. A little bit of compromise can happen in small ways. When we tell subtle half-truths, or there's a gap between what we say and what we do. We cover up things. We make life about us. And then when we do those things, it begins to compromise things in our life. It's crazy to think about this, but all of us in our lives will be summarized really in one sentence. About 10, 15 years after I'm dead, people will say, what was Chris like? Well, Chris was all right. He was kind of a jerk sometimes. One time he got kicked in the face. He probably deserved it. But how about a different picture? How about Bill? I tell you what, I have never known a person with more integrity, joy, and love than Bill. There's no question to how different those two life summaries are. There is no question as to which one we want. You can be successful students, but a complete wreck to friends. You can have incredible friendships at school, but have massive tension with family at home. There may be things in our life that hold us back from what God wants to do. Maybe we need to get accountability in small groups, or to surround ourselves with people who will cheer us on and encourage us. to commit to attend our worship services like on Friday night at the gathering, and commit to prayer. Let us all stop relying on our competencies to fix everything. Spend more time on character than competency. Here's the third principle. Realize that strategy is more important than strength. When I hear phrases like overcoming adversity or going through trials, I tend to think of having mental and physical strength to push through. Of course, having strength is important, but I know I need more than just strength. I have never run a marathon, and I don't want to, but I read about some of the mistakes that first-time marathoners make. First one is they may start too fast and not pace themselves well. Or they may wear new clothes on the day of the race, like new sneakers that are not broken in yet. They may eat a bad pre-race meal. They may train by emphasizing only longer runs instead of focusing on shorter, higher quality runs. Notice that all those things are more about strategy than strength. Strength is important, but strategy wins races. Does a person need strength to run a marathon? Of course. But strategy is more important than strength. To get throughout turbulent times, we all need a life strategy that can win the race. So what's the strategy? Fix our eyes on Jesus. Hebrews 12, verse 2 and 3. Fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right-hand throne of the Father. How beautiful of a picture is that? You know, we have the tendency to flake out and we want to quit. We have the tendency to rely on our own competencies to get through. We have the tendency to rely on our own strength to push onward. Here we are instructed to fix our eyes on Jesus as the only way to overcome turbulent times. Jesus is the one who is faithful when we flake out. Jesus is the one who showed us true character. Jesus is the one who gives us the only strategy that can help us endure. Here are 2 practical steps we can take today to fix our eyes on Jesus. First one, find a present-day cloud of witnesses. Another way to say this is find community. This passage talked about looking back on those who had gone before us, and that is huge in developing our faith. But to keep going and to fix our eyes on Jesus, we need people in our lives today. We need people who will befriend us, challenge us, and point us to Jesus in the time of turbulence. Who is someone that can encourage and point you to Jesus? Find that person. You know, we love it if everyone joined a small group or if everyone got connected and came on Friday nights, because community makes faith go deeper when we have community. And that's why it's so important. The second thing is make a small change. A person does not wake up one morning and decide to run a marathon with no prior training. Start small. Choose a small action that does not sound overwhelming. Here's some ideas. Talk about faith with someone trustworthy. One of the hardest things to do is openly talk about faith with others. Find someone trustworthy and decide to open up about faith and flakiness. Oftentimes when we openly share our struggles, it opens the door for others to share theirs. Recognize reading 1 verse a day is better than none. It probably feels intimidating to read such a large book like the Bible. So focus on something attainable and sustainable. There is no pressure to read everything. Start small and see its impact that it makes. Get uncomfortable. Choose one compromised area of life and try to pinpoint how this compromise has led or will lead to character issues. This one is tough. Do not get discouraged though. Remember that it is better to run the race with less weight. Pray with a phone. You know, I'm the worst at praying, so this one is for me. What I do is open up a notes app on my phone and type short phrases or words or of things that I'm praying about. Then I set reminders on my phone to check it in my prayer list just once a week. This helps me keep track of prayer requests and see when prayers are answered. It also reminds me to pray. Small changes today will result in big changes tomorrow. Don't feel like everything has to improve today. Choose one small thing and put it into practice. Let me say one last thing before we close. Notice our passage says this: for the joy set before him, he endured the cross. What held Jesus to the cross? Some might say the nails. But Jesus fed the 5,000. He raised the dead and walked on water. Nails could not hold Jesus. Jesus went to the cross for the joy set before him. What was the joy that Jesus would receive? You and me. At the cross, Jesus' life ended so that ours could begin. Jesus took all the flakiness and all of the character flaws upon himself. He endured for us and rose from the dead so he could bring us into a relationship with God. Fix our eyes on Jesus, because I'll tell you what, Jesus will never quit on us. He won't flake out. Jesus will walk with us and develop us. Jesus is trustworthy. Jesus is the author and the finisher of our faith. Jesus stepped into suffering and trials. Jesus has endured for us. Jesus will never abandon us. Jesus is the model of true endurance. Jesus will lead us. Jesus will befriend us. Jesus will encourage us. Jesus will forgive us. Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And Jesus conquered death and sin and will one day return and make all things new. We get to be a part of the greatest story. There's a great cloud of witnesses who have gone before us saying, don't quit, get back up. There is joy to come. God knows the end from the beginning, and he has something for us. Let's stand strong and be steadfast. We have a community of amazing people here who are on the same race as us and are cheering us on. Students, God bless you. I hope you are encouraged today during this turbulent time. I pray that the Holy Spirit speaks to you, fills you, and refreshes you today. And know that you have people behind you. You've got us, you've got me, cheering you on every day to do your best and to receive everything God has for you. I just pray that God's blessings upon you. God bless you as you head into the rest of your week. Remember, come on Friday. I know there's a lot of things going on. I understand. But I tell you, where Jesus is where I want to be. And he's going to be here Friday night just doing amazing things. So God bless you. Have a great rest of your week. And we'll see you next Wednesday online. Take care.